welcome to the fourth quarter and fourth and final 2021 class networking event. So today, a little bit of housekeeping. We are going to have some breakout sessions once we go through a few intros here. And those breakout sessions will be for small groups to spend, hopefully, because this group is smaller, we'll be able to probably spend 15-20 minutes of time sharing some topics. And when we get to that, I'll have Kate share on the screen some of those topic discussion points. And then we will come back to a large group, and we hope that we'll have a voice from each of the smaller breakout session groups that can share what your group experienced for those 15-20 minutes. And we want to enlighten the group with maybe some things that will help class in moving forward, some of the things we may have to identify for next year or concentrate on that would be helpful to this group for what 2022 looks like. So hopefully that makes sense. At the end, once we've gone through that, we will have the remaining time. We'll give everyone a minute, maybe 2 minutes, just to talk about anything in addition to what was not talked about in your breakout session about you or your company that you feel is important to share with the group, an upcoming event, maybe expand just slightly deeper on what was talked about in your breakout session, those kind of things. So that is a plan. We will be done no later than 10, possibly earlier, we will see. And if somebody has to get going early, if you could throw that in the chat, because we want to make certain that you have a chance to say something before you have to leave. We don't want you to feel that, oh, I got to leave for this meeting and you didn't introduce yourself. So we want to make certain that happens. So rather than introducing right now, let's move right into the next piece of information. I'm going to have Lynn Ammon, who is our past president of class, campaigning for building class and the members who would be on the board. And I'll let Lynn spend 1 or 2 minutes here just talking about that, please.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Great to see some new faces on the call and some familiar faces. That's awesome. As Scott said, class outgoing president, and as part of that role, we towards the end of the year formulate a nominating committee. And I see Katie Everett is on the call today. She's part of our committee. Hey, thanks for shouting out, Katie. And then Christine Sundberg from Elder Voice Advocates is also on our committee. So some of you may have heard from one of the three of us. If you haven't, we wanted to take this brief opportunity to let you know that the nominating work is being done to move. There's at least 3 open seats on our board. So just to inform you of that, general seats. We have a few folks that have served class for many years and are needing to move on. And so that's happening naturally. And so we wanted to let you know that there's some opportunity there for folks to consider joining us at our board level. We do work on nominations during the month of November, and then at the December 6th board meeting, make a slate and move folks into that space at that time. So just to let you know that's happening, but then also to reach out to all of you. We have, along with the 3 general board seats, we also have the 3 executive team seats, treasurer, secretary, and incoming president. And so we do have some opportunity for folks at any level that you may want to participate. We're moving into a new year. We have, as Scott said, class has some opportunities. We have some strong funding sources that are looking for us to become active roles in some of our local age-friendly work. We work closely with Ramsey County and have Julia Wolf as a representative. She's a liaison to this to our board, and she comes to the meetings and keeps us pretty informed. And so we are trying to poise ourselves as an organization to be able to receive some of the work that's being done at a state level and at a county level. And so I think that's where, as an organization, if that's something that kind of lights your fire, if you want to stay involved in that at a local level, this is an organization that's looking to accomplish that and work closely with cities and local stakeholder groups to bring that age-friendly work to life. So that next year will be, the board meets 6 times. We meet bi-monthly, just as a practical note, and works closely with making sure we have some opportunities. If we really have an opportunity for anyone, if you want to get more involved in the networking, I know that if you all received the email for this meeting, we're looking at building on the work of the networking group. So there's going to be some opportunities there for folks too to be a part of that work if that's something that interests you. So I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, but you can reach out to myself, Katie Everett, if you're more connected at the city level, or Christine Sunderberg. And we're the 3 folks that are looking to get generate some new board nominations at this time. So you can send me a message in the chat, or just let me know you want to learn more. And none of it's a committing. Please just know we can have conversation too at this stage to learn a little bit more about the opportunities available through the board. I would say CLASS has been around for almost 15 years. It is grassroots. We're at a stage right now where we know COVID has impacted our capacity to really participate in outside organizations past our probably day job that maybe many of us are doing for 2 or 3 other people's roles because of the grand resignation going on. And so we recognize that, and we want to work within that. We really do want to it's an organization that if you want to be involved as little or as much. And so I would welcome you to know that this is a way to stay connected locally here in the Northeast Metro. And so it's not a high involvement, we're going to meet you right where you're at. So that's what I've enjoyed about CLASS, is as my job and my roles in the community have shifted, that there's been capacity to stay connected in this way and still have an impact. Thanks for listening.
What I would also add, just my 2 cents, is we are all busy professionals. Don't let the thought of being on a CLASS board position overwhelm you. It's not like you think it may be in terms of how much involvement it is, as Lynn mentioned. Prior to COVID, we had a lot of plans for a lot of different events. Well, COVID kind of put a halt to that. So what's easy about getting involved now is that we're all dipping our toe in the water for what might be next. We know that we can't do live events just yet. So these type of events online, maybe potential speakers, think of yourself, maybe you're interested in speaking about a topic coming up regarding a senior industry. And we look forward to having more of those discussions in our breakouts. So I strongly ask you to just step back for a moment. Think about what you could add to help building our senior community in and around the Northeast Metro area by being involved with CLASS. Give it a shot and see. I don't think it's going to cause anyone to lose sleep. And I would, when I had been involved for 2 years, Lynn, all of a sudden I was nominated for president, and it was one of those, you've seen the old show where who's interested in volunteering, and everybody who's standing in line, they take the step back and you're the one left standing there. That's kind of how that one worked out. But then COVID hit, and I've been playing this role for 2 years, and I'm still breathing. Things are still working out. So yeah, anyways, that's my soapbox stand. Don't be frightened, come aboard. We will have some fun, and I think you'll see what a difference you can make in our community for seniors. Lastly, I wanted to mention we are getting more involved. I think Lynn had mentioned with the Ramsey County Age-Friendly Initiative. I think it's Age-Friendly Initiative Ramsey County. Is that right, Diane? Yeah, okay. I thought I had gotten that right. So more and more of that is going to be helpful, because now we're getting the support from the state and Ramsey County for things that CLASS can do to represent our communities, to take it back to all the different municipalities, some of the different projects we might work on. So we're not going to be tasked to invent things. we will be here to help perpetuate what's already been talked about and develop things that others before us have kind of created. So that is another part I wanted to talk about there. Okay, so moving on, Kate, I'm going to give you a couple minutes also, because one of the biggest things about class this year and last year, when we were unable to meet, the board stepped back and said, okay, all these great plans with committees for all these different events all around, not going to happen. So what are we going to do to help with the messaging out there for class? And we decided the best approach is to bring aboard somebody who is going to help us become extremely vibrant on our website activity. And if you haven't visited our website, Kate, you'll be able to post that in the chat. We would love for everyone to go to that. But Kate has developed and built this website for class, which I think is just outstanding. It's a very easy, navigatable platform. And I'm going to let Kate talk a little bit about that, maybe a little about what you had to go through with this, or the good, the bad, and the ugly, but share a little bit of the high points on here and take it away, Kate.
Thanks, Scott. So my name is Kate Gable, and I have an interesting relationship with class because I have two businesses. I do Kate's Musical Memories, which is from my music therapy background, and I've developed it into music programming for individuals, larger groups, teaching students, and focusing on memory care. So that's what originally drew me to class. And I also had an interest and business background that through evolvement in time, I saw a need and wanted to design the website for class. So I saw that prior to COVID, it was almost like a newsletter or a bulletin that you might see at a church event. And I knew it could be more. So, what we've tried to do is bring all of the contact information and the connectivity to the home page so that way you can very quickly and easily navigate to different areas. Some are more developed than others simply because with COVID, we don't have as much to provide in terms of news. But that's also where you guys come in, that if you have resources, if you have information that you think would be greater to share with the Northeast Metro community with class, we'd love the opportunity to have you pass it on to the board and say, hey, I think this might be some good information, and we can look at it and see if it's appropriate for the site. So we have our different pillars and areas that class supports, which are having our education and events, our advocacy work, our networking, and providing local resources, and of course, becoming a member. But the part that's probably going to be of big interest to you is the getting involved, knowing who you have on your team and who you can reach out to in the community. Um, we've developed this area. These are all members of class, and we also want to be able to showcase you and your information. So we provide your website link, we provide contact information, but we also provide this newest piece, a click here for our news. Each organization can have a link to whether it's their Facebook or to a page that provides general information. We're utilizing our website to be a landing page to all the great resources that are out there, because one of the great things about a community is when you know something or have information that you can then pass on and share to others. So we really want to try and provide that connectivity. As we keep going, you'll see that you can get involved. Our education and events, we try to keep this regularly up to date. So any meetings that are coming in that we hear about class or focused within our organization, we'll try and provide here. Uh, Joining simply means it's going to take you to the platform where you can register and log in elsewhere. So again, if there are opportunities, we want to be able to share that. Um, and the best part is, if there's an opportunity where you feel like we need more of this kind of information out there, bringing it to the board is what is really the ones who sit down and make that decision of, this is important, we need to work on this. Maybe not on this area. We can really hash out what the quality pieces are for our organization. And the website is a reflection of those efforts. So feel free to take a look, take advantage. If you haven't had the opportunity to share some stuff with us yet, and you want to see that go up as another place to really shout out and share information, we're here to help. And I think I will stop sharing and pass it back to you, Scott.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you, Kate. Good information. So please visit the website, navigate it through, find some areas that, if you see that there's some things that we're missing, please bring it to our attention, because this is an ongoing project, which is important to this team. Okay, now let's get to the meat and potatoes of our networking event. How's that sound? We are going to go into a breakout session here. And Kate, before we do that, as I'm explaining what we're going to do, could you bring up the page? This will be the discussion notes for what we have, for what we hope to be the discussion in your breakout session. Some things that I'd like to highlight. There's really two questions for the breakout. It's looking back at the past year, what may become your new normal as we approach the new year, both as a professional and then as you serve your clients. So that will be those discussion points for question one. Talk about one or two ideas as to how class may better position itself to advocate during these uncertain times. Could be about housing, age-friendly communities, healthcare, transportation, etc. And then once you've had a chance to go through that, we will come back and hopefully somebody in your breakout group will be willing to just be a leader, spokesperson, and share that in a quick 2-minute share with the team here, the rest of us, to hear what you came up with. And then I'd like to also talk about for future networking plans and other events discussions. We are hoping to, not hoping, but we're planning and intend to go to 6 networking events in 2022, every other month. And the reason we feel that's important is because without being able to have live events, we think that now we'll have 2 more times a year to bring some speakers in, have a little bit more interactivity with each other. Sometimes a quarterly meeting, you may miss one, and all of a sudden you've got 6 months in between your last one type of thing. So we feel that by having 6 of them out there, this will be good. What we're looking for an answer on is whether you think we should start this every other month in January or in February. So discuss that in your group. We also hope to have 10-minute presentations during our networking events, not necessarily outside big speakers that come in, but somebody that's got topical information, feeling that it would be worthy to share with the group. And we'll give you the platform for 10 minutes to present that at one of our next networking events. So think about whether you have something to talk about based on our 4 pillars: the age-friendly communities, the affordable housing, transportation, and dementia-friendly. Figure out if anyone has interest, and if nobody has interest to talk at an upcoming one, that's not a problem. We're not telling you you have to. We're offering this up and hoping that somebody may wish to do that. And then finally, we will be hosting 4 quarterly lunch and learn events where we will bring in more of a longer topic speaker. Might be somebody that we're able to get in for free, maybe somebody that we have to have pay a stipend to. We're still working on that. But if you know of a great speaker that would be interested to come and be involved with class for one of these lunch and learn events, please bring that to our attention. So hopefully as you see this breakout opportunity, you'll put some thought to answering some of these questions, and we'll get back and discuss. All right, Kate, thank you. So will that be able to, just this questionnaire, will that be able to be on somebody's page when we go to our breakout sessions?
I will put it in the chat for everybody, so that way
Okay,
you can see it.
very good. So let's do this. I think if you could close that, Kate, because I want to get a count for how many we have.
We have 11, including
right,
us.
So I'm going to put us into, let's do, does it work? You think we've got enough time to have just 3 groups? So we'll have 2 groups of 3 and a group of 4, or should we go to 4 groups and have something smaller? Any opinions?
How much time do we have? 20 minutes?
Well, no, I think at this point, because if the last half hour is going to be, or last 20 minutes is for all of us to put a 1-minute plug for our own businesses, I think we can meet for about 20 to 25 minutes, and then we'll come back and share what the group has had to talk about. So how about we come back at 9:20. Spend about 15 minutes with sharing from each of the group, and then the last 15 to 20 will be for us individually. Does that work?
Mhm.
All right,
Sounds great.
we're gonna have 3 breakout sessions then, or breakout rooms. Well, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you had an invigorating breakout session there. We're going to share in just a second. I just need to make another housekeeping announcement for me. In case you've gotten an email from Scotto at Nutrax asking you to open up an invoice, my work email has been hacked. I was notified of this by our staff here right in the middle of running this meeting. So disregard it. I'm going to have to do some things after we're done here to clean that up. So, all right, we're at, what are we at, 9:27. We're going to spend about maybe the next 15 minutes, and we'll still leave enough time at the end for everyone to have a quick 2-minute about themselves and anything else that wasn't shared in the breakout session. So we're going to spend 5 minutes with a leader from each of the 3 groups, just discussing kind of the top view, top line of what your group experienced. And with that, group one was Diane's group, if I'm not mistaken. Do you have a leader? And if so, please step up and enlighten us.
We didn't pick a leader, but I did take some notes, ladies, if you want me to. Okay.
And I'm going to turn a timer on so we don't lose track of time here, Lynn, all right?
Okay. Our group, had a wonderful discussion. So thank you for that. We talked about some of the benefits of the last year and a half, de-siloing across departments that we've seen in the organizations that we've worked for. Maybe we've always talked about working more integratively, but this actually fast forwarded the need to actually do our day job. So understanding each other's departments internally was a benefit that we hope to continue. Another thing we talked about is COVID gave us expanded reach to serving elders in new ways that we actually see as valuable going forward. And so our organization shifting and continuing so that maybe we can continue to serve people and not just put them on waiting lists, that maybe virtually is ways to continue to operationally continue some of those programs in that way. So we've had some expanded reach to seniors. And then Katie talked about our statewide info sharing, some networking that used to be just kind of ad hoc, and now it's actually an intentional group that's been developed to share information at a statewide level to impact resource sharing and building capacity within programming. So I think that those are some of the areas that we talked about from that first area of discussion. And then we got into, what was the second question? Oh, Katie, remind me. Discussion about
how class is going to position
Yes.
itself next year. Yeah.
Yeah, Diane gave us some good feedback and perspective, being that Katie and I sort of sit internally on the board, that comparatively maybe to some other similar organizations that are, volunteer driven or organized organically like this without necessarily staff, we actually are still aligned in somewhat of a way that seems maybe we're doing okay. She helped me get a perspective that we aren't maybe as feeling as not impactful as we are. Like we are still sort of I don't want to say a demonstration, but there's still ways that other communities could benefit from learning about how we're structured that aren't even to this level. So I think that was very helpful to hear at this stage, at this juncture of our organization's existence. And then we did talk about the question about when we should start. There was a lot of support for the bi-monthly going into the new year, and that will actually help us continue some of the things that we've already identified in my earlier comments, to maintain that and sustain the impact of our connectedness during, going forward as we serve families. Oh, okay. And then, so the vote was a February start, though. I wanted to get that in. A February start instead of a January start. That's it.
You had 2 minutes, not 2 seconds. So is there still more that you're wanting, or are you all covered?
Is there anything else that I missed from where we're good? Okay. I think we're good.
Excellent, good. Any feedback for group 1? All right, we'll move on to group 2. And let's see, let's see, Abdi, that was your group, correct? Abdi, Ali, and Stacy, I believe. Who's the brave one?
I can talk, or Stacy, you want to go? Doesn't
Go
matter.
for it. Go.
Okay. We talked a little bit about kind of what we have. The first question is kind of, what has changed since pandemic and so forth. One thing that was probably never going to leave any of us again is Zoom. Welcome to all of you in our meeting today. As I think that it's become a life link for some seniors who can't get out of their homes, or I know that I have seniors who are looking forward to Zoom classes this winter when they don't want to be out driving on the roads in the evening to come to a class. And so I think this has been it's been a creation and an invention that I don't think will go away anywhere. And so we kind of talked about that and how it's kind of been a part of all of our companies and professional life. But at the same point, we are all looking and anticipating those days when we can start to see more and more people in person. And so hopefully that will be back again soon. Talked about how can class move forward. We talked a little bit about reaching out to other organizations. Are there, other nonprofits out there that would want someone to be a part of our group? Some of that kind of stuff. And then we talked about, how do we get class out there? Where else can we just splatter who we are and what we stand for, so that it's known. I had kind of said that I had been a part of the park and recreation side of world and working with adults for probably the last 15 years. Growing up on this side of town, having parents that are aging in this side of town, having grandparents that are still aging in this side of town, and never knew about class, or some of the services that are even out here to begin with that I am now learning about. So how else can we splatter us as a group out there, and just to know that we're here to help people and that we're a good resource? We talked about, other associations. Can we link other associations in with us? We talked about the Odyssey Conference. Stacy had talked about some other like nursing associations and stuff like that. I had said the Minnesota Park and Recreation Association. We have another small group that is just driven towards adults and seniors that meet along the side. And so, trying to connect with some of them, and yes, they may not necessarily be right here, but they're a good avenue for us to have as those other outreaches. What are you doing over here if you come across that kind of stuff? And then when it comes to future plans, we kind of talked about how we could help each other. And then we talked about doing a January start date, as I was being selfish. So we chose the January, well, I shouldn't say, Debbie, I don't know exactly what you said. You didn't actually put in your 2 cents, but Stacy was siding with me, and we were gonna go with the January start date to start the bi-monthly stuff.
Tell them why, Ally.
We are expecting, baby number 3 in February. So I wanted to be selfish and not miss a meeting.
I want to add on that, yeah, January, I vote for January.
Perfect.
We thought for new people like Abdi and I, if we take December off by starting January, it's a fresh year. It's a nice continuation to get going with people and not like get into your own groove. And then here comes February. Now you have to kind of plan that too. So right away in January, you have it on your calendar and ready to go. So I think it just has more continuity for effectiveness.
Good. Thank you, Team 2. And I would also mention that this group, part of our responsibility as fellow networkers is to spread the news to people who may not already be on our list. Let us know if we can populate our contact list, not necessarily our board, but our contact list for more of these meetings. All right, group number 3. That would be, was it Kate and Dawn and Melissa? Have at it.
Ladies, go for it.
Really, I was hoping you were.
I know. I talked enough. Go for it.
Oh, goodness. Well, we talked about a lot of things of how just things were in the past year, and I had shared that I really only been in this role for about a year, so the difference I wouldn't know. But just Zoom is definitely with us, like we talked about, and challenges for seniors. I work for Safe Harbor Estate Law, work with Margaret Barrett, and folks come into the office, and so we're talking a lot to them with masks on, and they have a hard time hearing. So we've put up barriers, plexiglass barriers, and that's been helpful. And just having people come into the office, and then I'm on Zoom. I've been exposed to COVID, so I'm trying not to go into the office, but I'm on a screen and they can hear me and see my face. So it's working. We talked a lot about that, and Melissa had a lot to say about how her company is helping with aging in place. You want to speak to that, Melissa?
Sure. Yeah, it was good to get to know what everybody is doing, because I think the different components of our professions really dovetail together. So we talked about that, but I work with Lundgren Real Estate team. And so what's unique about our team is we all have the certification as a senior real estate specialist. So we work with our clients it's more full service. It's not just buying and selling real estate. We actually will help bring in other resources that they might need, one of which is doing aging in place. So we have contractors who are certified with that subspecialty. And sometimes I'll go into ahead of him and just do a consult with the individual to go kind of room by room of changes and things that they could think about doing now that will help them to be able to stay in their current home longer and safer. And then when we get past that point, then we bring in other pieces too, like someone like Dawn and their company for the estate planning, people to downsize, and then helping them weave through the myriad of decisions that have to be made and navigated for that individual and what's best for them. So we kind of try to do a little bit more full service. So we also talked about starting in January for the bi-monthly meetings, and just trying to do some more networking. And Kate thinks that Dawn and I would make a great duo for doing a lunch and learn. So we'll talk about that maybe offline here. I'm up for it. So I think it'd be a good match. What else, Kate?
I'd say one of the most important components that we talked about is the vulnerability of the senior service population that we're dealing with, and that a lot of times each of us in our separate roles is providing a service when we know we could have made a difference sooner, when we could have made an impact sooner. and that's probably one of the hardest pieces. But by having a network like this, if you have information that we can try and share with each other, and that was really what the impetus of our January start date is, if we meet, we can create, we can connect. We're all working together for the same types of goals. We're just in our own lanes, but let's bring those lanes together, because I've spoken to Allie in separate groups before, where the work she's doing in the cities, it probably seems very separate from what Scott's doing at Nutrax, or Melissa, what you and Dawn are doing. But at the same time, it's not. And we've all seen it, we've all experienced it, we all have stories. So by trying to have that connectivity, by making sure that the information that we have to provide is the most up to date and available, it doesn't just reach senior service professionals, it reaches seniors, it reaches families, and we're providing the resources that we're all trying so hard to get out in our specialized areas in one location in the Northeast Metro.
Excellent, thank you. One thing, I was in on each of the groups, and there was a couple themes that I heard, and I'll just mention this before we go to our own introductions here individually, but there was a little bit of talk of just industry burnout and how we all need to be cognizant of helping each other, listening for signs of somebody within our industry, within our specific field who is going through that burnout, being able to acknowledge them and their importance to the team, because you hear in the news all the time, teachers that are leaving teaching. And the same holds true in our industry. When the burnout is there, the pandemic has just wreaked such havoc. And it is a real watch out, I think, in everything that we do. So let's be there for each other. Okay, we've got about 18 minutes left. Here's what I'd love to do, because we've all talked within our groups, all these faces and names are on the screen, but we don't know necessarily what everybody does. So you will each have between 1 minute and 2 minutes tops. And then what I'd like you to do, introduce yourself, the company you're with, how many years you've been either with that company or in that industry, and then any quick piece of information that hasn't been talked about with what you're currently doing that you can share with the team. So with that, we're going to keep moving on. Stacy, I've got you up in queue first, please.
I'm Stacy Shamblatt. I'm with State Services for the Blind. I am the Aging Eyes Coordinator. I started in May, but I was on the dream team to plan this program in 2013, so it kind of came full circle. I've been in the field of therapeutic recreation for 25 years, working with people with disabilities, illness, or disease of all ages and anything unique, bizarre, whatever. I've done it all. I was at Courage Kenny prior to this, where I had my own program for 7 years, but COVID took me out for funding. So I was very fortunate to be able to come in and work at Aging Eyes. So what I do is I provide trainings to community partners who represent state services for seniors who have low vision. So I'll train you on how to use low vision equipment, magnifiers, talking keychains, large print playing cards, things like that, to keep them independent in their home. It's kind of a starter kit, and how to assess them. And then if they need more, then a counselor will come in, and this is all free. The senior doesn't pay for anything. And then the other part of my state services is we do have a workforce. So people who are experiencing vision loss, who are working or of working age under 55, they can be older, but in the workforce already, they provide vocational rehabilitation. So we do also have an outreach coordinator who is happy to do presentations as well. And I'm doing Zoom training. Hopefully Wednesday I have a real person in person in St. Cloud training. I cover all the state of Minnesota. So, my expertise is vision, but it's also stroke, brain injury, spinal cord, as I was on those teams for Courage Kenny. So really looking at other reasons, not necessarily vision is the primary disability, but it can be the secondary disability. So I'm excited to join this group. I'm on the Ramsey County one with Scott, so he told us about it. So I appreciate that. So I look forward to learning more about class.
Thank you, Stacy. Allie.
All right, I am Allie Lucan. I am the recreation coordinator for the city of New Brighton. Here, I oversee some youth activities, but mainly all of our seniors and active adult programming. So I'm always looking for people that I can partner with to bring in to educate our seniors and our adults on different items, different topics that they should be knowing about. Things that I don't always know about either. I get a lot of random questions and I'm like, I didn't know that was an option. Okay, I'll do some digging and see what I can find. So I'm always looking for that. I know I talked with Adabi and Stacy a little bit too. For some of our special events, I try to do special events every other month for them to celebrate. And I'm always looking for people who want to kind of partner with us and be able to put their information into our goodie bag or sponsor some desserts, that kind of stuff, just to keep people informed about different agencies that are out there and different avenues. I have found that some of our seniors, they don't want to admit that they're getting old. They need information and want the information, but don't know exactly what to even ask me for or how to get that information. So any way I can, I always call it sprinkling, any way I can sprinkle any of that information out to them through any of our events, I'm always looking to partner with people to be able to get that information out to them. But like I said, I try to work hand on hand with our seniors, and we've got programming that we do month to month, and always looking for topics and people to bring in to come and speak to them, whether some of them have to be paid or some of them are free. It's always an option here to make a presentation. So that's what I got.
Excellent. Thank you, Ally. Abdi, you are next.
Hello, my name is Abdi. I am community outreach specialist with Trellis in partnership with the Senior Linkage Line. Trellis is Senior Linkage Line is part of Minnesota Board and Aging. We work with seniors 65 and older, and our outreach and volunteers team provide a variety of prestations about the Senior Linkage Line, which is a free state service for all Minnesota seniors. And also we provide prestations on fraud prevention and detection. We provide prestation on Medicare enrollment for those who are coming to 65 and how to pick the best plans without paying anything. We also do prestation at this time, which is the open enrollment time for Medicare, where the federal government changes plans every year, and we go out to the community and give the updates as they change every year. We also participate and partner with organizations to provide materials to seniors, kiosk cards about the Senior Linkage Line, to also participate in events in the booth and do exhibition. The Senior Linkage Line is a free state service whereby you can get information about transportation, food, education materials, and all the support that seniors need. So I am so excited to be here. It's my first time. My colleague was attending this networking event before, and I'm happy to join her. And thank you so much.
Be great. Welcome. You and I talked a while ago, so it was good to see that you were able to join us today. Thank you. Dawn, you're next.
Well, good morning. So I work with Margaret Barrett at Safe Harbor Estate Law. I'm the client relations manager there. We empower families to protect what matters most to them. We help by creating legal plans to protect people's assets, their loved ones, saving money and hassle in the process. We really believe in hoping for the best, but planning for the worst, so families can have peace of mind. I really do look forward to the opportunity to help people realize their estate planning goals. You know, I helped my folks as they were aging, and as I shared, they had all their ducks in a row, so to speak. It just really helped lighten the load for my sister and I, and that's what I hope to do with folks. We start with a confidential and complimentary, what we call life and legacy session, just to learn about people's unique situation, educate and empower them so they have some options and they can make the best decisions for themselves and their family. Really, all people need an estate plan, but typically folks are coming to us when they're approaching retirement perhaps, or looking at their financial planning. Estate planning just becomes part of that whole process. families that are looking maybe at a family member, a loved one needing some assistance moving into long-term care or assisted living, that brings them to us. Children helping parents protect assets, perhaps looking at medical assistance planning. And so we do see that type of thing and get referrals from senior workers and financial planners and so forth. So I look forward to just helping people get all their ducks in a row, so to speak.
Thank you, Dawn. Glad you could be with us today. Melissa.
Hi, good morning. I'm Melissa McIntyre. I'm an agent with the Lundgren Real Estate Group, and probably the familiar prior face was Colleen Ketchum, but she's just recently decided to go ahead and retire. And so I happily stepped up to take her place here. So we are a real estate team in specifically the Northeast metro area is kind of our specialty, but we go everywhere, of course. But Tim Lundgren's been a real estate agent for about 20 years. And the requirement of his team is that we focus on senior real estate as it's a subspecialty. It's a sub certification we get with our license. So I've been with them about 3 years, but I came out of doing full-time PC for my mom who had dementia. So I was her live-in person. And like Kate and I talked about, we learn a lot in hindsight. And while I did pretty well, there were resources available that I wish I would have known about. And so that's part of my job as I'm interacting with our clients. 50 plus really is our focus, but helping bring in and connect them with other resources. And so we do a more full package, which I talked about earlier, with consulting with them, aging in place to keep them in their home longer, as long as possible, as long as it's safe, because that usually makes them happiest. But when the time comes for a transition, then it's bringing in all those other resources and references to the person and their family members to make it as an easy a transition as we can. And I usually tell the family member or the rep that let me be the bad guy. You preserve your family relationship with that loved one and let me do all the hard stuff, because I don't care if they get mad at me and beat me up. It's all right. So you do the family stuff. Let me help them with the downsizing and making some of those tough choices, because it's very emotional. So that usually works pretty well to take some of the pressure off the family members for that senior when we get to that stage. But I'm trying to think about how can I do a better job of linking my clients and their family members to class, to all the other resources that I'm not fully aware of yet. So I'm going to be talking to the boss when we hang up here about some things that we could maybe do to get that more integrated into the standard package of what we do with our clients. So I don't know. I think we talked about the January, because we, like with everyone else, we thought, why wait? Let's just go ahead and start in January with the bi-monthly meetings. And I like that idea, because I think it'll help us get more accomplished throughout the next year if we're in more frequent touch with each other. But I really like these meetings, and I appreciate the networking, because it's a chance to really get to know what other people do well and how we can work together.
Thank you, Melissa. Diane.
Good morning, everybody. Diane Graham-Raff, and I work at Trellis with Opti and with Jen, who I think is still here today too. And my position at Trellis is to work specifically with the aging services providers. So I do things like shepherd people through the state's Live Well at Home grant application process. I'm one of the people that's actually designated by the state as someone that they can ask for assistance. We don't write your proposal for you, but we're happy to help you flesh out ideas, find additional partners, understand some of the questions, take a look at your budget, make sure it matches what you've told us you want to work on, all that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you this because November, December is a really great time to start thinking about that. The Live Well at Home grants, and you can, I'll see if I can find the link. You can look at last year's request for proposals. It's something that the state offers every year. And it is one of the few state grants that is available to for-profit as well as nonprofit organizations. It's fairly competitive, but it's not, say, as competitive as some of these national grants because it's just Minnesota. And so I'll find the link. I'll put that in the chat, and if you, as well as my email address. And if you want to connect with me before the request for proposals comes out, usually that occurs sometime late January to March. It can really vary from year to year, but lately it's been late January, early February that they've been posting that. If you want to meet beforehand to talk about ideas, that sort of thing, this is a really great time of year to do that.
Thank you, Diane. We're running out of time here, so we've got 3 or 4 people left. Lynn, you're next. Let's really keep it short and sweet if we can, and
Sure.
get everybody out of here on time.
Thanks. I can do that. Lynn Ammon, I work with Ling Bloomston second half programming, and we are the community service component of Ling Bloomston. We do have, most of us know us by our campus over in the Como area, assisted living, long-term care, memory care, and independent subsidized living. On that front, community services wide, we have just reopened in person our gathering program up here in the Northeast Metro at St. John in the Wilderness. So if you have caregivers that need respite, it's a 4-hour break every week. So that is something you can connect with us on and refer folks, families over for, we have a lot of caregiver services. We have a whole department, and we are also excited to announce that yesterday we did our groundbreaking in Lino Lakes for our second campus. That we've always been Como centralized, and so this is the first time there'll be a second campus. And excited that the townhomes are the first layer, and then we're going to also be developing in 2023 assisted living and memory care out there in Lino Lakes. It's right across the street from Shoreview. So just to give you a perspective, at the end of Hodgson Road, right where that ends there. So look forward to updates on that. And if I would just say, if you have any caregivers that need support, we have caregiver support groups and offer caregiver coaching and caregiver for those living with memory loss. We have virtual memory clubs and things like that. So please know that would love to hear from you if you're serving individuals that might need more support as caregivers. Thanks.
Lynn, Katie.
I will be very brief. I am Katie Everett. I'm the recreation supervisor at the City of Vadnais Heights. I do all of our programming for all ages and special events, kind of the whole gamut of things that happen in Parks and Rec here. We do have a senior social group that meets a couple of times a month, and we do winter lunches just as kind of a social opportunity. Typically, the second Tuesdays in January and February, we do those. And our big senior event is our senior picnic in August. We, in the big years without COVID, have had about 300 people that come to those, and they're really fun events just to kind of get people out. And we do share resources about lots of the community providers at that as well. So that's a great, this is a great network for me to find people to connect with that way. Also really appreciate class just for the random calls we get at City Hall with like, I need this, and we serve as Google for people a lot. So it's really nice to have people that we know are real Google results that we can direct people to too.
Good.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. Hey, before I forget, Diane put a link into the chat, so everybody check that out in case you have got some interest or need for grant opportunities. So I just wanted to mention that. Also, when we're done, we've recorded this, so we will send this out. You'll be able to look through, and if things that are in chat, I believe we've captured that, correct, Kate?
Yes, we will be able to capture that. And I was going to follow up and just ask, Diane, would you possibly be interested, based on the timeline you described, of maybe leading off our 2022 Lunch and Learn by talking about the RFP grants?
So you said the lunch and learn. Who is that? The target, because this is not grants for individuals, but for organizations.
I was just thinking that for class, we are in 2022. Sorry, Scott, if I stole the thunder, but as part of our efforts, we want to be able to have speakers. We want to have lunch and learns in our group. We talked about that. This seems like it'd be a very timely opportunity to discuss with class in the new year for organizations like ours that come here. City of New Brighton, Safe Harbor, being able to just have this information, it might be a good conversation, a way to start the new year.
Yeah, I'm definitely willing. I think a lot of folks do know something about it, but I may be totally wrong on that. So if it's a relevant topic, I'd be happy to do that.
And maybe even if it's not lunch and learn, maybe it's the 10-minute platform on our next networking meeting. All right, Kate, we're at 10:01. Kate, it's you, then it's me, and we're out of here.
All right. I'm Kate. I have two organizations, Kate's Musical Memories and KG Freelance. My Musical Memories is based on my background in music therapy, and I do a variety of programming, but I specialize with memory care. And then with my freelancing, it really has moved into website design for nonprofits such as Class and so forth. So just trying to take that healthcare senior scope and apply it to a business model, so that way it's providing the best resources for everything that people have to offer. So I've been truly honored to provide that experience and skill set to Class.
Thanks, Kate. Very quickly for me, in addition to my role in Class, I am the Community Transportation Coordinator for New Tracks, a nonprofit in the Northeast Metro. We serve adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. My role is specifically working with creating senior programs, transportation for group rides with assisted living, independent living, memory care, and also developing senior circulator loops with some grant monies that we've received. And that is going to be an exciting piece for what we do in 2022. So that's a quick get for me. We are at 10:02. Folks, thank you so much for attending today. Without you, Class obviously wouldn't exist. We're hoping for and planning on a very productive 2022. With folks like you, you're going to help us get to the next phase of what we need to do in Class. We're representing seniors. Our passion is within this industry, so continue doing the good work that you do. Happy holidays to everybody, and we will see you in 2022.